What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that you are enjoying the final day of the 2024 NFL Draft. The Dallas Cowboys, of course, did not have a fourth-round pick, which made the day very boring at the beginning. Hopefully, you were able to get something done around the house or go out, take care of a couple of errands, whatever the case may be. But we are here in our latest video on the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, which you can do so right down below. And you can follow me, RJ, on Twitter, Instagram, or Threads at RJ Ochoa. Hopefully, we're going to get through this thing without either of my dogs barking. But we're here because the Dallas Cowboys have made a selection. We'll be recapping each and every pick as we have been. If you want to see any of our recaps through the draft to this point, obviously go back in our channel. You can see each and every video that we've done. But the Dallas Cowboys are on the board at defensive back with the 174th overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. Their first selection on day 3, the Cowboys took Wake Forest cornerback Caelen Carson. The Cowboys had to sit and watch basically all of the notable running backs go throughout mostly the 4th round of the draft, and that kind of took running back as an option away from the team. It does seem like they are going to really lean into this Zeke return thing, but that's a subject in the conversation for another day. Caelen Carson is somebody who kind of sticks with the line or the logic that the Cowboys had before their final pick of day 2 when they took, obviously, their linebacker. But Caelen Carson, what I'm getting at is an incredible value. If you go by Dane Brugler's board, and you should because he's the very best in the world of NFL draft analysis, Dane had Caelen Carson as a 3rd, 4th round grade. So for the Cowboys to get him near the end of the 5th round is solid work. And we've seen the Cowboys really achieve a lot of value throughout the draft, again, mostly to this point. And I know it may not seem like it, but cornerback was a sneaky need for this team. They obviously chose not to bring back, or at least to this point have chosen not to bring back Stephon Gilmore. They did bring back Jordan Lewis, and we know that Trayvon Diggs is returning from injury, but he tore his ACL. And it's important to note, obviously, that may impact who he is when he first returns to the team. The Cowboys would be wise to hedge their bet in a lot of ways, and that's been part of our criticism of them, but it seems like that's what they're doing here. Now, I know the Cowboys traded up last year to draft Eric Scott Jr., and that didn't exactly work out the way we would have wanted throughout his rookie season with the team. I don't know that this is an indictment against that. It's way too early to come to any strong conclusions about anybody drafted in 2023, but this at the very least gives the Cowboys an option. Carson is somebody who can play both inside and outside. He's somebody who is responsible for a lot of contested catches, and I think that's the attitude and the disposition that you want from any cornerback or any DB in general. So getting him in the fold is a good move for the Cowboys. It's also worth mentioning that this is the first DB in general that the Cowboys have brought in with Mike Zimmer as their defensive coordinator. If you have followed Mike Zimmer for some time, you know that it was just a couple of years ago when the Minnesota Vikings, who just picked, by the way, as I'm telling you this right now, I'm looking at my screen. It was just a few years ago that Mike Zimmer and his Vikings took like all of the corners in the draft. So that Mike Zimmer is finally getting a DB to get his hands on, that Al Harris is getting somebody to work with as well. And I think that that's an important element to this. The way we talked about Tyler Guyton in the first round and how the Cowboys deserve the benefit of the doubt relative to offensive linemen taken in the first because of their track record, I think it's very fair to trust Al Harris, who got a promotion this offseason, obviously, with any DB. He is that good and that solid and that successful of a coach. So we can kind of hang our hat on the idea of Al Harris improving Caelen Carson. To go back, as mentioned, to Dane Brugler and his assessment of Caelen Carson, worth mentioning that he had 3 interceptions in his 4-year career, by the way, at Wake Forest. But Dane's summation at the very end of his write-up on him: overall, Carson needs to prove he can stay healthy and be on the field for a full season, but he has the competitive athleticism and football IQ needed for coverage duties in the NFL. He offers, as we mentioned, inside-outside versatility and projects as an eventual NFL starter. And again, as the Cowboys are getting somebody with a 3rd, 4th round grade near the end of the 5th round, it lives along the lines of that value sort of disposition and ideology that we've been talking about. And at this point in the draft, on day 3, that's what it's about, especially if you get wiped out. We don't know, obviously, beyond a shadow of a doubt, but it stands to reason that the Cowboys went into Saturday's action to day 3 of the draft wanting to come away with a running back. And they obviously knew, like we did, that they did not have a 4th round draft pick and that it therefore would have been a futile effort. And it wound up being that. But good for them not forcing the running back issue there. Good for them identifying Caelen Carson as somebody who did present a lot of value, somebody who could be taught. That's a really funny word to mess up. Shout out to all my English teachers. But somebody who could be taught and tutored and molded by great coaches like Al Harris and Mike Zimmer, great coaches with a long and historical track record when it comes to defensive backs specifically. So I give this pick I'm going to say a good B to B plus, right? It's really difficult to come away with an A sort of pick, on day 3 of the draft, just because of the nature of the day that it is. But Caelen Carson gets the party started for the Cowboys, obviously, on the 3rd day. I mentioned that we'll be having videos. I'll be having videos come out here on the channel. After each and every pick, the Cowboys will be on the clock again, or at least projected to be at 216 in the 6th round, and then 233 and 244 as far as their 7th round selections are concerned. But for now, my name is RJ Ochoa. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or Threads at RJ Ochoa. Make sure to check out bloggingtheboys.com for the latest and greatest in the world of Dallas Cowboys news. What was going to say 24/7, 365, although it's a leap year, so 366. And make sure to subscribe right here to the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel, where we have tons of videos coming out all the time. I appreciate those of you who are jumping on the bandwagon. We are so close to 22,000 subscribers. Thanks so much for hanging out. We'll see you soon enough.